Hi, my name is Kyla Cole. This is my oral presentation for Ms. Fitch's English 1302-005 class. My oral presentation over Hamlet. We picked Betrayal, and my classmates are
Clarissa Garcia,
Nakia Brown,
Esmeralda,
Mariana Beach.
and Nakia will start with our introduction.
Betrayal, the meaning. The action of being betrayed one's country, a group, or person. We chose betrayal because Shakespeare includes tons of betrayal within his play. Like, for example, Hamlet was betrayed by his uncle, King Claudius, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, Ophelia, and Polonius. Betrayal is one of the major themes of this play. This is why we chose it. Hamlet was most affected. He was next in line for the throne because he was in love, and he was also in love with Ophelia. And he was also loved by. And when betrayal was most obvious, it was at the beginning of Act 1, Scene 5, when Hamlet was talking to the ghost, and he found out his uncle, King Claudius, killed his father and married his mother to be king. Claudius didn't just betray Hamlet, he betrayed his family and the kingdom. When Hamlet found out that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were supposed to kill him soon after they landed in England, this was also obvious as well. When Claudius betrayed him again by plotting his death by duel against Laertes in Act 4, this was also obvious. The people who betrayed Hamlet, like I said, Ophelia, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, Polonius, and Claudius.
When you talk about betrayal in the play, you can see this happen in different situations. You can see this between friends, in a marriage, or in this case, you can see this in a kind of relationship. One of the betrayals that happen in the play comes from Ophelia to Hamlet. But how? Ophelia seems to be just a really simple woman that was in love with Hamlet, and she was she was in love with Hamlet because if she wasn't, why she accept all these letters that Hamlet sent to her? And in this point in the play, I think she was clearly in love with Hamlet. But this love, in a certain moment of the play, changed a little bit. Now she was afraid. She was afraid because she thought Hamlet was going crazy for her. He was going crazy because he was in love with her. And we can see this really clear when she went to a room where was Polonius, her father, and she was screaming, my lord, I have been so afraid." After this, her father realized that Hamlet was going crazy about Ophelia, and he decided went to a king and the queen rooms for tell them what was happening with Hamlet. And in this moment, when this happened, the betrayal, in this moment is when Ophelia begins to betray Hamlet. So, do you know why? Why she betrayed Hamlet? Because in this moment, she let her father hear all the conversation between her and Hamlet. And in this point, Polonius started to think that Hamlet is not suffering from love, he's suffering from something else. And in this time of the play, he started being in danger. For many things that she was just worried about Hamlet, and she was thinking that he was going crazy, and she was worried about his sanity. But she betrayed Hamlet because she loved her family first. And anything that her father asked her, she would say yes. And that's why she betrayed Hamlet, and she would do this again and again and again. But after that, she feel guilty about that? Yeah, she did. That's why she killed herself. But you can think that, no, she didn't. She was just going crazy because her father died. Her father died. But the truth is not. She was going crazy because she was feeling guilt about what she did with Hamlet. And she was going crazy too because her father's death was her fault too. Do you know why? Because she let Polonius hear all the conversation between her and Hamlet. if she didn't before, if she didn't highlight hear all the conversation, he always will think that Hamlet was suffering from love, and he will be cool with that. He will say think that everything was fine, and he will not went to the queen's room for hear the conversation between Hamlet and the queen. Or you can think that it was just accident, like some people think about the play. And the next betrayal is about Polonius.
I had Polonius, and he was the Lord Chamberlain of Claudius's court. He was the father of Laertes and Ophelia, where it all started when Polonius betrayed his own son. In Act 2, Scene 2, there was a quote that said, "You shall do marvelous wisely, good Reynaldo, before you visit him to make inquiry of his behavior." That's when Polonius sent Reynaldo to go after Laertes to Paris and spy on him in his every action. And that's also a quote in Scene 2, Act 1, when he says, "Inquire me first what dancers are in Paris, and how and who, what means, and where they keep, what company, at what expense, and finding by this encompassment and drift of question, that they do know my son, come you more near than you particular demand will touch it. Take you as to war some distant knowledge of him, as thus I know his father and his friends, and impart him to you, Marcus Reynaldo." That's just pretty much telling him to watch his every move and what all he did. Another betrayal part was when Polonius was benefiting Claudius to deceive Hamlet, and Polonius arranged for Ophelia to meet Hamlet and to determine about his irrational behavior, about the affliction of his love, which was in Act 3, Scene 1. And Ophelia was to pretend to read a prayer book to deflect any suspicions, to arise anything else. A quote from it was in Act 3, Scene 1, where Polonius tells Ophelia, says, "Ophelia, what you hear, gracious, so please you, we will bestow ourselves. Read on this book that shows if such exercise may color your loneliness." That was just the way to get to Hamlet, to find about the affliction of the love. And then again, Polonius, he gets Hamlet again when he hides behind a tapestry, which is right here in my picture. And that was, he was spying on Hamlet's conversation with his mother in Act 3, Scene 3. At the time, however, Polonius pays for his deceit with his life as Hamlet gets him to the tapestry. And also, Polonius, throughout the story again, he instructs his servers to spread rumors about his son in hopes of finding what he was actually up to. And right here is a quote on when he sent Reynaldo to follow him in Paris. And then we have Claudius over here, which Clarissa will present.
The character I chose to speak about was King Claudius of Denmark, and I would say that his part is one of the most important roles of betrayal in the play. His part seems to have affected three main characters through the play. The first character is the past King of Denmark, Hamlet Sr., who is Hamlet's father and first husband of Gertrude. He was betrayed from his brother Claudius when he killed him for his ambitions of being king and also by taking his queen. Even though Hamlet Sr. is dead in the play, this role of betrayal that Claudius has shown towards him is important because the whole play is based on his death. The second character that was also affected is Hamlet Jr. Claudius killed his father and wedded his mother soon after his death, leading for Hamlet to betray people that he has loved before. Claudius also shows betrayal to Hamlet by sending him to England to be killed there, but his plans were changed once Hamlet found out about it and had plotted to kill them for the second time. And finally, Queen Gertrude, whose first husband was killed by her now second husband. Gertrude has shown betrayal from Claudius since the very beginning. In my opinion, her marriage was all betrayal for Claudius's ambitions to be king. Queen Gertrude was betrayed from the love she had for her son and her own death, which is all caused by her husband, King Claudius' actions of betrayal. I would say that in the whole play, Hamlet was the most affected, as he was the only one in the play to show signs of depression and felt the need to revenge. And for the collage, I chose a drawing of King Claudius poisoning the big ear, which represents King Hamlet's ear. And for the quote, I chose a quote where Claudius knows that he knows he did wrong, and so he puts, "Oh, my offense is rank, it smells to heaven, it hath the primal eldest cure upon it. A brother's murder, pray can I not? Forgive me for my foul murder, that cannot be since I am still possessed of those effect for which I did the murder, my crown, my own ambition, and my queen." And finally, we have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern by Kyle.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern betrayed Hamlet several times within the play. I believe that the motive for their betrayal was growing up with the golden child. Just imagine that you've been going to school with a certain person your whole entire life, and they've gotten everything that you've wanted. Say you try out for the football team over and over and over. The coach's son gets the quarterback position that you've been wanting. Or say that you are in the band and you've been trying for first chair your whole entire life, and the director's daughter gets first chair over and over and over. Hamlet is the golden child of Denmark. His mother is the king and queen, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern see his power and see his wealth, and they grow up seeing that. They grow up wanting that, and I believe that that's why they betray Hamlet several times within the play. In scene 2, act 2, their first meeting with Hamlet, Hamlet asks them what news that they bring. And it's ironic that Rosencrantz answers him with, "None, my lord, but that the world's grown honest." He uses the word honest while he's telling Hamlet a lie. Hamlet knows that they've come at the order of the king and queen. In line 255, he says, "Were you not just sent for? Deal justly with me." This lets us know that Hamlet knows that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are there at behest of the king and queen. Guildenstern replies, line 271, "My lord, we were sent for." This creates mistrust between Hamlet, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern. In Act 3, Scene 1, Rosencrantz reports to Claudius regarding Hamlet's crazy behavior. And the King Claudius asks him to continue to spy on him, and he readily agrees. I believe that he is wanting power and wealth, and he believes King Claudius will give him this if he spies on Hamlet for him. In Act 3, Scene 2, this is after the play, the mousetrap within the play, and Hamlet has just witnessed what he feels as an admission of guilt from King Claudius, and he is upset and he's about to plot his revenge. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come in, and all they're worried about is King Claudius and Gertrude and how they feel. Line 266 says, "In his retirement, marvelous distempered." That means that King Claudius isn't feeling very well. Hamlet dances around Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and he plays with them, and he says, "With drink, sir," line 266. He knows that Claudius isn't feeling bad because of drink. He knows that Claudius has just witnessed Hamlet's knowledge of his father's death. And in line 314, Hamlet says this. He tells Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to play a recorder. And Guildenstern says he has no knowledge of how to play, and Hamlet says it's as easy as lying. So this lets Rosencrantz and Guildenstern know that Hamlet knows that they're lying. In Act 3, Scene 3, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern accept the sealed documents from Claudius to be sent to England. They probably know that what's in these documents isn't good for Hamlet, but they don't care. They're still wanting this power and wealth that they feel King Claudius will give them in return for doing these things for him. In line 4, Act 4, Scene 3, Hamlet knows that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are spying, and he changes the documents, the details inside the documents. This leads to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's death in Act 5. So their want for greed and power and wealth leads to their death in the final act. I picked a picture of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and then a quote from Hamlet at the bottom. Anything but to thy purpose you were sent for, and there is a kind of confession in your looks, which your modesties have not craft enough to color. I know the good king and queen have sent for you. This is early on within the play, and we know that Hamlet knows that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are being dishonest and betraying him. And now Nakia will present our conclusion.
Betrayal can affect people in horrible ways, and it can lead people to go crazy or fall in a state of depression. Middle schoolers and high schoolers are most susceptible to this because of either their boyfriends or their friends stabbing them in the backs or cheating on them or whatever. And Shakespeare was just trying to tell us through the play that be careful who you trust no matter what age you are, and to be prepared for anyone to betray you at any time.